a man who starts every single day here when Pro Football PFT Live is on the air. Man, kind enough while that show's on hiatus. And if I'm not mistaken, he just tweeted out he just came back from his physical. So we say Moon River to Mike Florio joining us here on the Rich Eisen Show, Mercedes-Benz Vans phone line. How you doing, Mike?
Good. There is a debate within the medical community about the necessity and the effectiveness of that specific test.
Yes, sir. Okay.
And they are in the process of phasing it out, but not yet.
Aha!
Not yet.
Very good. Glad to hear you hearty and hail, Mike Florio. Glad to see you hearty and hail. At Pro Football Talk is where we follow this man all the time. Okay, Mike, so I reached out to you and you were kind enough to say yes on short notice because this happened 10 minutes before we even went on the air today. Tony Busby confirming that 20 of the 24 lawsuits, or all lawsuits that have been filed against Deshaun Watson through he as the lead attorney, all but 4 are being settled. What's your opinion on that? What to make of that news?
Well, they say that wisdom often never arrives at all. It's better if it comes late, and this was long overdue. It was something that needed to be done from the get-go, before the first lawsuit was filed. It was mishandled by Deshaun Watson's representatives. They not only failed to seize upon an opportunity to settle the Ashley Solis case for somewhere in the neighborhood, I believe, of $50,000 to $75,000, because the opener was $100,000 and it's always negotiable downward. They pissed off Tony Busby. He started rounding up more plaintiffs. He began to realize what he had here, and the next thing you know, there's 22 cases. And they almost settled him in April of last year. Busby wants confidentiality as to the amount. Watson and Rusty Hardin, who's involved at that point, wants no confidentiality, basically so they could brag to everybody about how little they paid these plaintiffs to make them go away. Falls apart then. They tried last October to pay everybody $100,000. All but 4 were willing to take it. Deshaun didn't want to do some, most, almost all. He wanted all or nothing. Falls apart then. So now he realizes, let's just knock out the cases that we can get. And whether it's 100, whether it's another 0, whether it's somewhere in between, who knows? But 20 of the 24, and I wouldn't be surprised to find out it's the same 4 holdouts. I don't know that yet. That hasn't been disclosed. The only person that we know did not settle is Ashley Solis, the very first plaintiff, plus 3 others. But this is an effort to end this. And this is what Deshaun Watson needed to do. Take his reckoning, find a way to achieve an amount that constitutes justice from the perspective of the individuals who are accepting it, and move on. And this greatly streamlines the process going forward. Trying 4 cases takes a hell of a lot less time than trying 24 cases. So this is a good development overall for Deshaun Watson. Doesn't mean he won't be suspended. Doesn't mean he'll be suspended any less than what he was going to be suspended. It just clears away 20 cases that would have had to have been dealt with in a court of law, start to finish, and it would have caused this thing to linger probably into 2024 if you only have the off season to do these trials. So this is the first huge step toward Deshaun Watson putting this behind him.
Well, Brian McCarthy, NFL spokesman, saying, quote, today's development has no impact on the collectively bargained disciplinary process. Read between lines for me on that one, if there are lines to be read between.
There are no lines to read. It's absolutely 100% accurate. It has no impact. It has no effect. It's a separate branch of the justice system. You've got the criminal, you've got the civil, and then you've got this in-house NFL-created justice system aimed at matching the expectations of the public with whatever consequences ultimately imposed on Deshaun Watson. And I was told last week the NFLPA bracing for an unprecedented suspension. Mark Maskey of the Washington Post said that probably means 1 year, and that's the proposal. Where it ends up through the disciplinary process remains to be seen. So that's still coming. And if anything, and look, settling a case doesn't mean that you're conceding that you did anything wrong. But there are a lot of people out there who will look at a settlement and say, if you really didn't do anything wrong, why are you settling? And there are many reasons to settle something even if you did nothing wrong. In some cases, the settlement amount is less than what it will cost you to pay for your legal fees from now till the end of the case. So it becomes a business decision that is made without passion and with pure objectivity. But people don't want to hear that. They're going to assume that he paid, Therefore, he must have done something. And, Rich, something I just posted, once I got a chance to start to get my brain around this. With one plaintiff and a confidentiality provision, pretty difficult for that information to ever come out because they put some language in the agreement that gives it real teeth. Typically, there's a liquidated damages clause that says if you blab, we can come get all the money back. So people shut up. When you got 20, somebody's going to blab because that person can hide among the other 19 and say, I didn't do it. How are you going to prove I did it? So you find a reporter that you trust, and you tell the reporter the amount or show the settlement agreement, whatever the case may be. I think it's going to get out. I think it's inevitable that we'll know what Deshaun Watson paid.
Mike Florio here on the Rich Eisen Show. What do you think the Browns are thinking about this news about the settling of lawsuits?
They got to think this is great news for them because it dramatically reduces the headaches, the distractions, the diversions that are swirling around the franchise. And now they're not looking at the possibility of all of the 2023 offseason devoted to however many cases they can try then. Then all of the 2024 offseason devoted to however many more cases they try then. And then whatever's left over, who knows? This shrinks it down to something far more manageable, and hopefully it's a step toward, from Watson's perspective, a step toward getting the other 4 cases resolved, finding an acceptable bottom line. Maybe these other 4 just simply want more money. Maybe they are holding out for more, but they think that their rights were violated to a greater degree. They want to see him dig deeper than what he's digging for the first 20. So there's a chance that this is step 1 toward all 24 being gone. And I know from my experience when I practiced law, once you get a defendant who has multiple lawsuits, whatever it is, corporate, individual, whatever, once the wallet's out, it becomes a lot easier to just be done with it. You just want to be done with it.
What if somebody doesn't want to be done with it? What if Ashley Solis, who is the first and clearly has been the leader of this pack, as it appears, just by reading and seeing and how she might be inspiring, have inspired others to come forward. What if she just wants to take this to trial? What would mean?
Oh, then it goes. And it'll go next year at some point between March 1 and August 1 of 2023. And it will be a protracted fight. And one of the big issues will be how much of the evidence regarding other claims made against Deshaun Watson will even be allowed to come into evidence. And there will be a verdict at some point. Barring a settlement, this thing goes to trial, and there's a verdict rendered by a jury. And it's a crapshoot at that point. It's like flipping a coin. I mean, it really is. And Deshaun Watson could have won all 24 of these cases, but the reality is it's like flipping a coin and having it come up heads 24 straight times.
But does that,
you have a different jury in every case.
But does that? Does that get televised, Mike? Though, like that's what I'm saying. It's just because.
Well, I don't know what the law or the rule would be in the courtroom. That has, every court has its own laws.
Right.
Some will only do the Tom Brady melted face sketch, and others will park the cameras there and let the whole thing be televised.
Yeah, you're referring to the worst sketch drawing in the history of sketch drawings that occurred.
His own personal Dorian Gray portrait.
Deflategate from back in the day. Again, the only reason why I asked that is it's just the protractedness of it is what can continue to make whatever penalty the league levies less effective or seem less toothy, right? Because you're learning more and you're hearing more, and the court of public opinion can get more sour on the player and the handling of all of this. That's the only reason why I ask. So what do you?
It's a good point, Rich. And here's the reality: the NFL could impose a punishment now, and then come back to it later, based upon what happens as the case unfolds. However many are left, 1, 2, 3, 4, or more. There could still be others who file a lawsuit. That's a different wrinkle altogether. And Tony Busby, as a practical matter, may now be less inclined to try to file other cases. It may be kind of a wink nod between him and Rusty Hardin that he's out of the Deshaun Watson business. You can't put that in writing for ethical reasons, but there can be an understanding that Tony Busby isn't going to file any more of these lawsuits. But as it relates to the NFL, the problem is with this third party who's now involved, you better truly have something new. It can't just be, well, we thought we understood the evidence and we thought that it was going to be no verdict or a small verdict, and it ends up being $10 million, so we feel compelled to impose a greater punishment on him based on the facts we already knew. That's not going to fly. It would have to be truly something new that they didn't know, couldn't have known, shouldn't have known, if they want to swing back around later, if the verdict in any of these remaining cases make the punishment seem like it was too lenient. That's the big risk they take by punishing now. With one or more cases going forward, there could be a statement from a jury that creates the impression that the NFL failed to go far enough.
But the fact that he settled doesn't mean that the league or the person who is looking into all of this goes more lenient, is essentially what that statement from McCarthy
means. I don't think it will, not at all. I think it makes it more likely there's going to be a suspension, not that there wasn't going to be.
Right.
I heard last year that the Dolphins believed that there was going to be, it was either 6 or 8 games if he had settled all of the cases. Because remember, the Dolphins, they had the right idea. We want all the cases settled before we're going to do the trade. The Browns should have insisted on that in March. And the Dolphins, they may not have even had any basis for this. They may have been wrong in their assessment, but it was somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 or 8 games if he had settled them all back then. But in recent weeks, it feels like it's taken more of a negative turn against Deshaun Watson. So it's going to be compelling to see what happens. And they could propose a year, and the disciplinary officer could knock it down to half a year, and then Roger Goodell maybe picks a midpoint between the two as the end result on appeal, and he misses 12 games. Who knows? It's all to be determined, but they need to determine it pretty soon because you've got multiple steps that need to play out before the season starts.
Before I let you go, Mike Florio, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about Lamar Jackson's press conference last week, where he finally spoke publicly about his contract and the conversations and whether he thought he was worthy of it. Maybe that was the reason that was posited by the owner, Steve Bisciotti, that he hasn't engaged or accepted a generationally enriching contract is because he hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. He refuted that notion, didn't guarantee he'd show up for training camp, but said he'll be a Raven for life and kind of letting it all roll off his back. There's no frame of reference in terms of previous quarterbacks to have taken this tack. I wonder what you thought and what is going on based your knowledge.
This is a prime example, Rich, of how different the media accounts of what he said seem in comparison to actually watching him and listening to his words. Mm-hmm. And the one thing that really resonated for me when he was asked about Deshaun Watson's contract and the relevance that contract has to him, and he says, I'm my own man, it doesn't matter to me, that I was already 100% convinced he needed an agent, so I can't be any more convinced. But it didn't make me any less convinced he needed an agent. He needs an agent desperately because Deshaun Watson's contract is relevant to him. Josh Allen's contract is relevant to him. You don't walk into it saying, I'm my own guy, I do my own deal. You build on the efforts of those who have come before you. That's how it works. And then somebody else who comes after you builds on that. You go out and get the best contract that you can. And, there are people who think he's just trying to avoid paying the 1%, 2%, 3% because it's a big check to write every year. It doesn't come out of your pay. It's a big check. A lot of players don't like to write it, and that's fine. But, look, you make more net than the 100% that you get to keep if you do it without assistance. And something I publicly suggested last week, the Ravens should just say to him, if this is about paying the fee, go hire an agent and, 1%, 2%, 3%, whatever the fee is, we'll just gross up this deal and we'll pay the fee for you if the issue is the fee. And I think it would be money well spent by the Ravens because then they could have a traditional and normal negotiation where they can get to a fair deal for everybody, and at the end of the day, they have to gross it up. Yeah, it's not an insubstantial amount of money, but it would be money well spent by the Ravens to offer something like that if Lamar Jackson would do it.
That would make it even more unprecedented, a team saying, hey, hire an agent, we'll pay for him or her.
Oh, hey, then Jimmy Haslam could do a press conference complaining about Steve Bisciotti's contract.
Tell me how that tastes, because I like I said, there is no frame of reference. That's why I said when I'm my own man, it's like you sure are. I've never seen anything like it. Is it possible? Because everybody keeps reading into what he's saying as well. He's going to hold out, or he wants to eventually be the Dolphins quarterback. He's trying to work his way. He's got like some LeBron type plan he's hatching right now. Or he's just some kid who just loves playing ball and just goes about his business and thinks everything is just going to fall into place anyway. I don't know what to make of it. Really do not.
A few weeks ago, I offered 3 potential explanations, and I was led to believe, based upon people that I know who are connected to the situation, that these are indeed the 3 possibilities, and we just don't know at this point what the truth is. 1, he wants out. 2, he doesn't know what he wants. 3, he expects the Ravens to show up with a no negotiation. Here's the offer. We're not going to haggle. We're not going to talk. We're going to make you the highest paid player in the NFL, and you don't have to do anything other than recognize, yes, this is the best contract that's ever been given to anyone. Where do I sign? That it's one of those 3, and time will tell what it really is. But, hey, Rich, it's funny. We see guys say things. We take them at their word, and whether it's coaches, players, whoever, it happens all the time. They say it, we take them at their word, and then they do something diametrically opposed later, and we never really learn the lesson that maybe we should sometimes be skeptical about what guys are saying when the microphones are capturing their words, because maybe what they really want to do is something different altogether. I mean, it's possible for everybody. We don't always bare our souls when we're in a setting like that, so it is possible he's trying to finagle something to Miami, or he just definitely doesn't know what he wants to do. That's very possible.
Mike Florio, thanks on such quick notice. Really appreciate it.
Rich.
Thank you, man. You be well.
See you, pal.
You got it. That's Mike Florio, everybody.